evening, Papua New Guinea, and welcome to another episode of Business PNG. Now, studies have shown that SMEs are drivers of economic growth and job creation, driving innovation and getting social integration in most countries. The government of the day plans to follow examples set by economies like Malaysia, Taiwan, and New Zealand, who went from third world underdeveloped countries into developed nations by developing their SME sector as their engine for growth. In this episode of the show, Senior Editorial Manager for the Oxford Business Group speaks to the Acting Managing Director of the Investment Promotion Authority, Mr. Clarence Hoot, about small to medium enterprises as well as the challenges they face.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of OBG Corner in association with MTV and IPA. I'm Mongolo Leone Mativo, Senior Editorial Manager for Oxford Business Group here in Papua New Guinea. We're very privileged to have Mr. Clarence Hoot, Acting Managing Director of the Investment Promotion Authority, with us here today. So if we look at how important SMEs are, especially in emerging markets, where do you see potential for SMEs to play a greater role in the PNG economy?
As you will appreciate, PNG does have an SME category in it. However, that has not been realized by previous governments in the past. And only quite recently, it's now coming to the forefront through the Ministry of Trade, Commerce and Industry, where the Minister is pushing for SME inclusive in terms of economic development in the economy. So in realizing that, the policy now sets the platform whereby the government interventions can come into the sector and bring them into the formal sector to realize their contributions to economic growth. And in addition to that realization, I think from our records in terms of the Investment Promotion Authority being the registry of all businesses in PNG, there's evidence of increase in the number of registrations in terms of the SMEs. For instance, in 2013 we had about 20,000 registered entities under SS business names. So in terms of business names, which are trading names and more so classify as the SME, that is evidence that there is growing interest in the sector. And I think government policy is having an impact on the business community as evidenced in those figures.
Where do you see that SMEs can contribute more to the development of the country and work on these mega projects, looking at success stories and what needs to be done in order to enhance this going forward?
PNG was caught off guard when the ExxonMobil made an announcement that it was coming in to develop the $19 billion LNG project. We just did not have the capacity to provide the services that were required in the project, and as such, we lost a lot of opportunities for our SMEs. In other words, what I'm saying is, when we have a major investment in terms of the foreign direct investment coming into the country, with it is the creation of business opportunities, they call spin-offs, which link into that anchor investment. And that is a great potential where Papua New Guinean SMEs can tap into. However, as was in that case, we did not prepare for a project of that magnitude to come in, and as such, we lost a lot of opportunities for our SMEs to tap into those potentials. But not to link on that too much, I think there are still a lot of opportunities happening in the mining sector, especially in the non-renewable sector, such as catering, transportation, logistics, hire labor. These are, again, opportunities that Papua New Guineans can get into in terms of the SME sector.
How do you identify these opportunities in order for these SMEs to join the formal economy and take advantage of these opportunities?
There is a lot happening in terms of SME development in the government sectors as well as in the private sector. However, I think what is lacking is the need to properly coordinate all these efforts so we can grow the sector in a wholesome approach. For instance, from the IPA perspective, what we do in terms of our investment promotion is we go out and we're working very closely with the provincial administrations through the commerce divisions to try to identify opportunities for the local people in the provinces. Last year and coming on to this year, we've executed memorandum of understandings with Madang and quite recently with Ley. And we have Milne Bay coming on board, West New Britain coming on board. These MOUs are meant to provide that conduit where we can work together to identify opportunities at the provincial level and right down to the district, the local district level, and then provincial level, and then harness those opportunities, profile them, and then try to grow them with the help of the other agencies and private sector organizations in the country.
So being very ambitious goals, what do you feel needs to be done in the short term in order to realize and achieve these goals?
Yeah, they're very ambitious figures that are contained in the current SME policy and the master plan. However, they are also not impossible to achieve. I think what we can do, as long as if we can progress towards those benchmarks that are set by government, I think that would be good progress. In saying those, there are a number of institutions and individuals have done studies on the SME in PNG. A couple of things come out strongly as key areas that need concentration of the efforts of government and private sector in a private-public partnership approach. One of the key things that we see that the SME sector needs is the training, the necessary training to capacitate them, to be able to skill them so they can come into the game, join the rest of the group in the SME space. PNG, we're not born business people, we're learning to do business. And at some stage, we're still trying to differentiate between what belongs to the business and what belongs to the family or to the clan. The other key point that comes as an important part towards growing this sector is the accessibility to finance. Our people, if you go around the provinces and in the districts and in the rural areas, they are trying their best, and Papua New Guineans are known to be hardworking people. What some of the studies are showing us is that they just need a little bit of help in terms of financing. Accessing finance through the current financial institutions is quite a difficult situation for Papua New Guineans. So I think this provides an avenue where the government come in to provide seed capital or startup capital for Papua New Guineans. And we see the government has already started that by providing that facility with the Bank of South Pacific. You have the government doing allocations to the National Development Bank at 6% interest rate, which is a great thing to do, but we need to encourage to grow that and sustain it in the long term for a lot of more SMEs to benefit from. And of course, the third most important thing that we see, and where the studies are pointing at, is the accessibility to markets. You know, given the geography and the topography of this country, our people are growing the produce in the rural areas. However, to bring those out to the markets is a great challenge for them because there is no road connectivity. There is lack of provision of helicopters to fly the produce from the very remote rural areas into the towns where the markets are. So it will help if the government can focus a little bit in providing that accessibility to the rural population where production is based. It points us to the fact that, you know, 80% of the people still live in the rural areas. And if the government can open up the rural areas by providing the infrastructure in terms of road access, Papua New Guineans will certainly make use of those opportunities and produce more produce to bring to the markets.
Thank you very much, Clarence. I think you made a lot of good points about the potential of the sector and what needs to be done, especially from government and the stakeholders, the finance corporations and institutions in order to fund these SMEs and provide them access to markets going forward. We'll go now to the PNG Australia Business Forum, where we got to catch up with a couple of the SMEs, where they shared their experiences with us.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at a successful SME involved in organic coconut products, MaxtoneHaus. I'm Leon Gerari in Lorengau, and you're watching Business PNG. Amongst the challenges of doing business in the country, there are some striving entrepreneurs who aim to succeed. Now, they're not there yet, but their ambition has propelled their business from strength to strength. In this segment, we speak to coconut connoisseur Ernestine Maxtone-Graham about her largely popular organic coconut products and company, MaxtoneHaus.
My name's Ernestine Maxtone-Graham. I own MaxtoneHaus. MaxtoneHaus is about health and coconut beauty products. I'm from New Ireland, but my company is based here in Moresby. We are moving to Kimby, and we should be setting up there in the next couple of months. I'll be producing oil there, so my products will be coming out of Kimby. That's very exciting. MaxtoneHaus beauty products is the body oil moisturizer, and we also have the organic insect repellent as well. We're looking at virgin coconut oil will be on the shelf as well. We've also got the soaps, and we have them in different fragrances, the essential oil fragrances. And Tamanu is the next one that we're tapping into as well. Look, access to the market is not easy. From Papua New Guinea itself, for SMEs, for me to access, the way I did it was really basically cold calling. We were very lucky that we bumped into Mahesh Patel from City Pharmacy. You know, he was a great mentor to start off with. Apart from that, it's using a lot of the internet. Trying to get in touch with the industries bodies such as Pharma, Coconut Industry Corporation, from my sector anyway. But you know, the opportunities are there in Papua New Guinea. Don't get me wrong, and it may be hard, and I am making it hard because it is difficult. But the opportunities are there, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. But for your villagers, it's not as easy for them to have that access to the phones, to the emails. And what I suggest, even for myself, as I'm trying to tap into new markets like Japan, you know, I can't find that information readily for me as you would if you were down south. I can't walk into a government body and have a database that I can look up, or even on the internet. How do I go forward with that? Well, this is where we need, export is very big here in this country, trade is big. You know, it can only help an economy. So we need help in that area. Definitely the government has to come up and meet us with that, so that SMEs, not just in my sector, but throughout all of Papua New Guinea, has that available for them. But definitely in the coconut industry, we definitely need a lot of help, because that is a product that comes from the village, and it is the villagers that have absolutely no educational level at all. We can't do banking system with them when we're buying coconuts. Everything has to be, it's cash. Yeah. So even just at that simple level. Well, the first thing you need to do is make the oil. Now, to make coconut oil, there's two different types of processes. You have the wet process and the dry process. We do a hot air dry process. We started off doing a sun-dried process. It's still a hot air dry process, where our coconuts arrive sun-dried, and then from there we check the moisture content once it's down to a certain level, and we also sort out the coconuts, and then we start to crush it, expel it through, and crush, and then it gets expelled, and the oil comes out, and then it gets filtered, and then gets run through a centrifuge. That's the dry process to get the oil. The wet process, which we also have the machinery to do, which we have done, is this time you get the whole nuts. And instead of drying it, we have a hot air dryer, which we put the coconuts in. Instead of drying that, you actually start grinding the coconuts when it's wet. So it is that coconut then that you make, that everyone makes at home. And when we're making our milk, coconut milk, when you're making mangit or whatever it is, your grease, well, it is that milk that then that gets grounded down and you're getting the milk coming out, that separation of that milk separates the oil, water, and the milk. So you get your oil out of that. Look, as I embark into coconut cooking oil, I think I will have more relationship in that. But even just starting off, it is not easy starting off. I have to say Shay Scovell's been a good mentor in that area, because as I tap into that, I need to know about my machinery, how am I going to be setting up my plant, you know, am I making that right decision? So it's about talking to a lot of not just people in my sector of coconut, but in the sector of manufacturing, because they're the ones that have a lot more experience, and it's particularly the older ones, particularly working here in Papua New Guinea. So yeah, for me, I don't actually have any problems with manufacturing. I haven't really thought much about it, because as a small, you're just too busy trying to get your products out there. The future is exciting for coconuts in Papua New Guinea. For MaxtoneHaus itself, we're definitely going to be a forerunner for coconut cooking oil. And I have 2 other lines which I think will really help the people of PNG and make a name for MaxtoneHaus. And that would be an ointment, which is a health ointment. All the ingredients are from Papua New Guinea. Again, the baseline ingredient will be coconut oil. So that and the cooking oil are 2 of the lines that I think will put MaxtoneHaus on the map for Papua New Guinea. Yeah.
Coming up after the break, we look at coffee company from Kainantu, Superior Coffee.
I'm Miro Batulo, and you're watching Business PNG.
To find a perfect example of a successful family-owned business, look no further than that of Superior Coffee. Founded by cousin brothers David Vaso and Romias Waki, the coffee beans originates from their village farm and farms from surrounding villages in Kainantu. They are then flown into Port Moresby and are roasted at the company's facility at Konedobu and distributed within 48 hours to keep the beans fresh.
My name is David Vaso. I'm 44 years old, and I am from Kainantu in Eastern Highlands province, a little village called Jabunka, in a little place called Raipinka. My thought of starting this coffee business came in 2008 when I was working through a field of coffee garden. The coffee garden belongs to my uncle, who is a Department of Primary Industry worker at the time. He's now back in the village. I had a brother who works for CIC. His name is Anton Bro. He's currently my barista here and roaster. We were working when he told me that it would be really good to have a coffee factory, meaning a wet mill factory in the village. So I decided to, without any further thoughts about it, I just went on and decided to start up a coffee wet mill. I had a house, land in Port Moresby, not a house, but a vacant land in Port Moresby, in Rakatani Street, Port Moresby. And I sold that land for 40,000 kina. And I took that money home and then started putting up the processing plant. Yeah. So we were able to harvest the coffee from the farm, take it to the processing plant, and we started processing there. And we did our first export in 2010. but we were using other people's export license. Towards the end of 2014, in I think November or December, I sat with my other cousin brother, who is my general manager right now, Romius Waki, and he asked if we could go into partnership to start up a coffee shop. And lucky enough, I had a friend who had this place, so he offered me this place. So we said, I told Romius, we will go a bit bigger than the coffee shop itself. We'll bring in the coffee from the village, and we'll do the production here. So in January of 2015, we started organizing ourselves, and by April 2015, we started the production of the first coffee beans. We did the first roast. We started this company, or the roasting, in 2015, and we didn't have this place. 2 years later, we have all these things.
The first year was a very big struggle. You know, when you have a new product, people are inclined to stick with what they used to. They're not very susceptible to trying to test new things unless a friend introduces them to them. So in the first year, we had it was a very challenging trying to break into the market. And so I think by the end of the year, in some months there'd be no sales, and then sales might come in drips and drabs. So we've probably made of 40,000, I think, revenue. That's just revenue in the first year from our sales. And we made a lot of loss. We focus primarily on Port Moresby. We've not gone to Lae. We have not gone out of to the provinces. We just solely focus on Moresby because we believe that in PNG, Moresby is the coffee capital. And Moresby is where there's a lot of coffee drinkers. And so we've deliberately brought the setup here. We've had a few friends, a few advisors that have come and said, why have you set up in Moresby? Because the operational cost of freighting the coffee down and doing it here, the overhead is big. Why don't you just do it in Kainantu and then just bring the finished product down here? And that's a legitimate observation. For us, we want to do things a little bit different. And one of the things that drives us is that we want to deliver fresh coffee within 48 hours to our clients. And we want to build our business around being a leader in delivering fresh, very fresh coffee, good quality coffee, high quality coffee to our consumers right at the doorstep. And we want to live by that. We want to build our business around that particular, theme. So that's why we set up here, and we believe that we can build a profitable business here in Moresby. From Moresby, even without going out to the other provinces, we've have a lot of interest that's coming in from Australia, from around the region.
And that's all we have for this episode of Business PNG. For more information, or if you would simply like to watch this episode again, visit MTV Online at the URL at the bottom of the screen. Or to simply join the conversation, like our page on Facebook or follow us at the Twitter handle at Business PNG. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Leanne Durari, and this was Business PNG.